Good morning. Welcome to our worship service at the First Unitarian Society of Ithaca. Here we gather, nurturing our connections, seeking inspiration, and embracing the warmth and light of spring. My name is Jens Wenberg, and I'm the Celebration Associate today. Thank you so much for joining us. We welcome everyone, whether you're a newcomer or a longtime attendee, member of the Ithaca community, or watching from afar. We are so glad you've chosen to be with us. Please check your email, our Facebook page, and our website for more information about how to create connections. If you'd like to receive weekly updates describing the opportunities for engagement, please email a request to office@uuithaca.org. Our service this morning has been pre-recorded, but we look forward to sharing the service broadcast on Sunday morning and seeing you at the live coffee hour that follows. For some announcements, our annual meeting will be held on Wednesday, May 26th. Pub Theology is on May 16th. Youth are invited to play Among Us, and there's a scavenger hunt next week. For details on all these things, check the midweek announcement. The stewardship campaign is continuing. To date, we've received 124 pledges, totaling $268,347. That's good, but not all we need for the year ahead. If you haven't sent in your pledge, please send it in soon. Our church service on Sunday, June 13th, will be held at the Stewart Park Pavilion. There will be a short service, and we can celebrate Reverend Margaret and Fuzit. The details will be coming soon.
Our opening words this morning are called Psalm 23 for this moment. It's a recast of the traditional psalm in the language of love. May I remember in this tender moment that love is my guide, always shepherding me towards ways of openness and compassion. I have what I need, really, with love at my side, above me, below me, in front of me, behind me, inside every cell of me. Love infused everywhere. Just when the weight of the world I inhabit threatens to drop me in place and press my hope down into the ground beneath me, love invites me to rest for a gentle while and leads the center of my soul to the quiet, still, restoring waters nearby that somehow I had not noticed. And so, love, quietly, sets me once again on its tender and demanding path, even when the walls close around me and the cries of death echo through untold corners, gripping my heart with fear and sadness. I know that all will be well, that I will be well. When love whispers near to me, glints at the corner of my eye, rests with gentle and persistent invitation upon my shoulders. Yes, love blesses me, even as the sources and symbols of my pain look on. Love blesses me from its infinite well, and I turn and notice that goodness and kindness and grace follow me everywhere I go. I live in a house of love, love that will not let me go. I live in a house of love and always will. Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. Here you belong. The chalice is the symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalist heritage, and we light it each time that we gather in honor of our shared faith tradition, our living tradition, the ways that we are connected with Unitarian Universalists everywhere. And so I light this chalice this morning with gratitude for the communities that have raised us up, with gratitude for the ways that our individual stories have been shaped by the stories of those who go before us and who have nurtured us into being. May we bring those stories fully to this place and these people and this moment. So may it be. Each week in our service, we create a space for a communal spiritual practice. And in that space, we lift up the names and circumstances that call for our joy and our celebration, and for our concern and our sorrow. This week, I lift up those who are struggling with loss of loved ones, or important life milestones, or their health and well-being. And especially today in May, in this month of addiction and mental health awareness, I lift up those who are struggling with illness in their minds, who are struggling with addictions. I hold up those who are struggling with unsafe home lives, and I lift up gratitude for those who are working so that everyone can be safe and well. As we find our way through these difficult times, may we stay true to our most deeply held beliefs. May we do all we can so that all will be healthy and well and safe and cared for. If you're watching this service in its live format, I invite you to type your joy or your sorrow into the chat box. Or if you wish, you can speak it aloud to the people you're watching with, or just aloud to yourself. Let it flow into the universe. And together, may we trust that these joys and sorrows are held by the universe. May we offer our love and compassion so that they are held with care. At the beginning of our live coffee hour each week, we'll have a facilitator who will offer space for the sharing of joys and sorrows. May we all engage in the communal spiritual practice of listening deeply and offering our care and compassion to one another. Now, holding in our hearts the joys and the sorrows of our lives, those shared and unshared, let us continue in some moments of reflection and prayer. Breathing in, I am aware of my pain. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my pain. Breathing in, I am aware of my past. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my past. Breathing in, I am aware of my anger. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my anger. Breathing in, I am aware of my despair. Breathing out, I am aware that I am not my despair. Breathing in, I am aware of peace. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of peace. Breathing in, I am aware of love. Breathing out, I am aware that I am worthy of love. Breathing in, I am aware of joy. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of joy. Breathing in, I am aware of hope. Breathing out, I am aware that I am an agent of hope. Breathing in, I am aware. Breathing out, I am aware. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be.
Each week, we take an offering to sustain the important ministries and programs of this congregation and its presence in Ithaca. The giving information will appear on your screen in a moment during the offertory music. Giving to the plate is important. It is a symbol of our gratitude for this service and our ongoing commitment to support the work of this church. The first time you give with the text link, it is a longer process, but after the initial information is entered, following donations are quick and easy. So please take a moment and give through either the text option or the giving button on the home page. May these gifts bring about connection, inspiration, and engagement within these walls and beyond.
Our reading this morning comes from this book of meditations that is newly published and was edited by a dear friend of mine, dear colleague who serves up in Rochester, New York. Reverend Lane Campbell and Reverend Katie Kandarian Morris edited this volume together and wrote some of the reflections. It includes reflections from Unitarian Universalists, some of whom are ordained ministers, others who are lay people, but all who are living with addiction or have loved someone living with addiction. It's 365 meditations, and they're broken up by each day of the year. I have copies available in my office if you're interested, so please reach out for this important resource. They wrote it because there just wasn't very many resources specific to Unitarian Universalism for those who are seeking to live a life of recovery. So check it out if you are interested. I'll share a piece of it today for our reading. In order for us to recover from our addictions, we have to get honest, really honest, and not just honest about whether or not we're addicted, though that's important. We have to get honest about our personal lives, about our fears, about the emotions and stories that have driven us to use. In being honest and then being vulnerable with another person about where we have made mistakes or come from a place centered in ego, we move toward surrender and trust. We're also asked to be honest with another person, to lay it all out for them to see. In following this path, we discover we are not alone. We also hear a perspective outside our own heads. Most of the time, the people who are listening to us have been there too. To risk vulnerability with someone is to really allow them to see us. It is a risk in that someone will know us for who we really truly are, a side of us we don't believe we show to the world. And the words are great. The rewards are great. Serenity, neutrality around our substances, a different perspective. Who do I know who lives a life in which everything is honestly exposed, just as it is? This is a reflection from this day in recovery. So I am a product of the DARE generation. The focus of this program was to teach abstinence from drugs and alcohol, and at least in my experience of it, was demeaning and stigmatizing to people with addictions. This means that the messages I got about drugs growing up included eggs on frying pans and creepy men in alleys offering free joints to children. I was instructed to simply say no to any type of substance, alcohol, marijuana, cigarettes, all of it. It was supposed to be that simple, and it just wasn't. I spent most of my middle and high school years waiting for that creepy guy in the alley giving away free drugs, and I have yet to meet him. Similarly, like most of us, I've been taught myths by our society that people with mental illness look or behave a certain way, that they can't hold down a job, they need to pull themselves out of it, they don't have enough willpower, just like the rest of us. They're somehow morally inept or broken. These messages and myths and stigmas we're told in our culture about addiction and mental illness are rooted in secrecy, shame, fear, avoidance. We don't talk about them nearly as much as we should, and the result is harmful to all of us. Studies show that nearly 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 6 children and youth in the United States are living with a mental illness. These are significant numbers. And as we know all too well, like most things, they're probably under the actual rates. But because of the shame and stigma of addiction and mental health issues, many people stay silent or don't seek help, or they aren't aware of how to get help and support that they need, or they just aren't sure where to start. And to all of this, we add these levels of isolation and separation from this worldwide pandemic, and we've got a crisis on our hands. So let's return now to that DARE generation of which I am a part. Studies have repeatedly shown that the program didn't work. Just like programs that promote abstinence in sexuality, programs that promote abstinence for drugs and alcohol are not effective. In fact, many people in my generation who were raised during this time, and the generation younger than me, have gotten wrapped up in one of the biggest opioid crises in the world. I've lost many former classmates and others to overdoses on heroin and other opioids. Many people I know are in recovery in one way or another, or they didn't make it. Along the same vein, the rates of suicide and mental health crises are on the rise. People are in crisis. And these are people we love. They are our friends, our coworkers, our bosses, our parents, our siblings and teammates. They're our neighbors, our ministers, our teachers, our fellow churchgoers. They're our children and our students. Recently, I posted a question on my Facebook wall. I asked, friends who are in recovery and or are living with mental illness, what is one thing you wish people understood about this part of your life? I got over a dozen responses, dozens of responses, in fact. Some were public on my wall, and many came as personal messages. Messages from a childhood friend's little brother, colleagues in ministry, friends from college, my parents' friends, a former teacher from high school, my yoga teacher, a woman I sat next to in 4th grade, members of this congregation, a former regular at the bar where I used to work in grad school, friends from across the country and the globe, spanning ages from adolescence through elderly, all dealing in one way or another with addiction or mental health issues, all with something to offer us as we all discern how best to support them and ourselves. So rather than try to sum it all up, I will share their reflections in their own words. Here's what they shared. Some mental illnesses seem to be okay, but others are not. Anxiety and depression are okay, but bipolar, not so much. Bipolar gets raised eyebrows and visible, though subtle, pulling back and away. Resist the urge to tell me I look well or good or healthy. Also, no need to tell me I don't look well or you're concerned about how I'm looking. In fact, let's just put a moratorium on how I or my body looks. Great alternatives always feel good, like, hey, it's so good to see you. Recovery is crazy because the thought of repeating the same behavior still doesn't feel wrong to me on a rational level. I'm simply slightly afraid of what I would lose if I did. I'm only 1% more interested in life than death at any particular time, it feels. But 1% is more than enough to feel the ecstasy of being. The best thing about recovery is knowing how messed up everyone is on the inside. It's just most haven't found out yet. Our dear friend longed so deeply for unconditional love and acceptance. She wanted all of herself to be seen and loved, not just the happy, outgoing parts, but the struggles and the pain as well. People often get scared, and they would leave her when she showed these parts of herself. There are too many days when I am like a duck on the water, seemingly calm but struggling to stay afloat just under the surface. Also, severe symptoms may be completely invisible to others. My breakdown 17 years ago came as a surprise to everyone but me. It's not everything about me, and it doesn't mean I'm incapable. Often there's a tendency to discount my opinion on things because I'm open about my diagnoses. It's ableist and cruel to think this way about people. Also, you don't have to be struggling to seek therapy. That's like never going to the dentist unless you have a cavity. You can be preventative. You can also go to therapy to help understand people you love who are struggling with mental health issues. When in doubt, just ask. Don't assume that I don't want to go watch a game at a bar because I'm sober or won't attend a house party. That's my decision to make. I do my best not to let my alcoholism define me. Let me make my own decisions and choices. Just support me. I wish people, especially my family when I was a teenager and younger, would realize it's an illness and treat it as such. No one says, well, have you tried snapping out of it to a cancer patient? When the people around you treat mental illness like it's something you're choosing, it's extraordinarily painful for that person. The central point in my own 17 years of marriage to someone with mental illness is their constant struggle to be normal, to hide, even from themselves, the fact that they did not see or experience the world as normal people do. Normality was a phantom they sought to emulate and always pursued, but were never able to achieve. Forgiveness and acceptance are important pieces. Self-forgiveness is probably the most important internal work there is when you struggle with mental health problems. My advice? Maintain hope in the difficult times and be grateful during the good times. You truly appreciate how special typical days are when your normal is atypical. I heard it described as living the perpendicular life. I thought that was a great way of looking at it. It's easy to feel victimized by mental illness, but there are unique insights, strengths, and gifts that can only come from being atypical. I try to appreciate those things when I'm feeling unhappy and comparing myself to others and my family to others. You have more real friendships with genuine people. You live with more honesty. You don't take good times or good people for granted. Life is richer, deeper, more complex, more fragile. Mental illness is not linear. It is not a process by which you get better once and then are fine the rest of your life. There are fits and starts. You may be fine one day and very much not fine the next. You don't always have warning of when the hard spells are coming. This is true even when your illness is well managed with meds and good supports, but even more so when these things are less accessible. We cannot just pick and choose when it comes and goes. Mental illness and addiction have a mind of their own. We cannot just flip the switch to turn it on and off. It's a part of my life. It is not the definition. With deep gratitude for their vulnerability and honesty, I remind all of us that these are our people we love and know, sharing from their experience of living with mental illness and addiction. And I wonder, which pieces resonate with you? Which parts felt familiar because they're how you feel or have felt? Which parts felt familiar because of the people in your life? Which parts resonate for you because they're part of your own story and experience with addiction or mental illness? Where in these statements did you hear strength, courage, fragility, vulnerability? Our reading this morning invited us into a space of vulnerability. This vulnerability is related to being honest and open with ourselves and the people around us. This vulnerability calls us to hold space for the things that are hard, struggles we're having with ourselves, our mental health, our spiritual health, our addictions and vices and unhealthy patterns. This way of being vulnerable is so countercultural. For many of us, it goes against everything we've been taught. Asking for, reaching for, accepting, or offering help is not something we've been taught how to do. And so it is constant work for all of us. Based on the rates I shared before, every one of us knows at least a dozen people with mental illness or addiction. Many of us know more. Some of us struggle at times and thrive at times with these conditions ourselves. It is everywhere. And along with it comes an invitation to treat one another with kindness and curiosity, to be compassionate, to understand that, like most things in life, recovery is not a linear process, but a big old scribble of messiness. That we're in this together, and perhaps the only way out is through, alongside the people we love. An invitation to acknowledge that there are powers we cannot fix on our own, but we can be present and quiet and loving in those moments that are difficult. An invitation to learn about the ways that addiction and mental illness show up in our lives, and an invitation to shift some of the ways we behave ourselves. At the foundation of our lives as Unitarian Universalists, we acknowledge that we are always learning more and deepening our knowledge and understanding of the world and our place in it. We are also inherently relational in our spiritual lives. And so it is an act of living into our spiritual health and well-being to connect more deeply with the ways our mental health and addictions shape our worldview and our relationships. Perhaps this learning is a type of spiritual practice, of being vulnerable, of having hard conversations, of leaning in, of opening ourselves to the possibility of growth and centering that comes from acknowledging these realities in our lives and the lives of people we love. May we accept this invitation. May we engage with this spiritual practice of vulnerability. May we listen to our needs, and may we nurture our mental, spiritual, and physical health. May we tune in to the ways we can nurture mental health, ours and others. May we be curious about sobriety, ours and others. May we remember that we belong to each other in times that are good and maybe especially in times that are not so good. May we do so in the name of love and care and compassion for ourselves and each other, one day at a time. So may it be. Amen. And blessed be. As we extinguish our chalices, we do not let go of the hope and courage that they represent. We go forth from this place carrying with us our sense of wonder and imagination, our stories, and an openness to vulnerability and honesty. We carry our promise to work for justice, our compassion for all, our love, and our courage out into this beautiful and broken world. Our service has ended. Let our true service now begin. Go in peace. you.